Hey, Laura, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I just got back from Denver yesterday,
Yeah.
and I had dinner with Madam Secretary for the House of Representatives.
Okay.
Yeah, just hitting the ground
Casual.
running, girl. Yep.
That's
So,
exciting.
yeah,
So
yeah,
was it yeah,
what's
was
that?
was your meeting like, talking about Stop the Judgment Project and all of the above?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Everything
exciting.
Stop the Judgment's doing. Yeah, and Tom's here. I want him to join the call because
Absolutely. Yeah.
he has been working so hard and so diligently with Stop the Judgment and Allegheny Health Network. What he is doing is so impressive, and I want him to tell you because he's the one that's doing all the work, so he should get the accolades on that.
Hi Tom.
Hi, Laura. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm, surviving, looking forward to spring and summer as I think everyone is.
Oh my God, it's been a winter, hasn't it?
Yeah, it really has. And what's crazy is that we've had these bouts of where it got a little warm and then really cold and then warm again and then really cold. And I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on here, but we need to, well, I do know what's going on, but we need to, need a little sunshine in my life. So I'm glad that it's coming out and makes me think of sunflowers, which made me think of you guys. And I'm just so grateful for all of the people that I've met during this. In February, I had 1 year of the podcast and didn't really get to do anything to celebrate, which is fine because I thought, it's 1 year in. I'm looking to go farther than 1 year, obviously. And you guys will be coming up on it will be 5 years since you started this project.
I
And
know.
it has to be a hard feeling emotionally because wow, what you're doing is such important work. As you have said many times, Sherry Joe, like no parent thinks that they're going to have a child that has, mental health disorder or substance use disorder. No one thinks that. No one wishes that,
No, no
and
one plans for that.
no one plans for that. Hello, and welcome to this season of Alter Eagle. I am your host, Laura Krigo. Let's keep the conversation going. Now a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online. Remote therapy sessions, and by filling out a few questions, BetterHelp can match you to a professional therapist in as little as a few days. It's easy to sign up and get matched with a therapist. Click the link in description and receive 10% off your first month of BetterHelp. And by clicking that link, you support this channel. Plus, you can easily switch to a new therapist at no additional cost without stressing about insurance, who's in your network, or anything like that. I was struggling for a long time, and BetterHelp was where I found my therapist, Whitney, who I still see weekly for almost 2 years now. So, if you're struggling like I was, consider online therapy with BetterHelp. Click the link in description or go to betterhelp.com/alter eagle. That's better, HELP.com/alter eagle. There's no better time than now to start your mental health journey. Thank you again, BetterHelp, for supporting this channel. Today, I am joined with Sherry Joe and Tom Bott. They were my guests on episode 8, if you've been listening to the podcast. And they came in to sit down and share their story with me of how they started Stop the Judgment Project. So in 2020, they lost their daughter, Siena, from a fentanyl poisoning in their family home. At 21 years old, Siena battled with mental health disorder and substance use disorder. Mere hours after Siena's death, Sherry Joe wrote her obituary, and not long after, along with Tom, her husband, founded Stop the Judgment Project in their daughter Siena's memory to educate, advocate, and illuminate the relentless battle many individuals and families are fighting today. And they're joining me today. I want to talk more to them about what they've been doing since we talked almost a year ago and just get a little update on how life is and all of the amazing things that they are doing out in the world, not only working both full-time, but a full-time job of running Stop the Judgment Project and in memory of Siena and really helping people in need. So Welcome, Sherry, Jo, and Tom. Thank you so much. I went to your event. So remind me again, that event, was that a fundraising event that we did, or it was just like your annual event that you have just to sort of, there were so many people there that you were thanking. You had the first responders there, which really when you brought the police up, I was like, okay, here come the waterworks on this one. But if you can talk a little bit about that event, and then I want to go on to following up on what you're doing now and all the great news that Tom has to share with us.
Thank you, Laura. And good morning. And thank you for hosting us. We appreciate it. And that was a beautiful intro, by the way. Thank you. I loved Educate, Advocate, and Illuminate. The event that you were at, it was both. It was a fundraiser and our annual event. We are planning on doing our annual event again. I'm waiting for a confirmed date on that.
So tell me a little bit more about what you both have been up to, what you're doing. I know you're planning some events, for the fall, but let's talk about what we're doing. We're making strides.
Well, we did get our first legislative bill passed by the House of Representatives. Our local representative in Franklin Park, Arvin Venkat, ushered that through for us. He's an ER physician.
Are you talking about last session or this session?
Well, last session it passed through the House 187-14, but because of the election cycle, it has to go back through the entire process through the House. It just went through the committee. It passed 25-2, so it'll be presented to the House of Representatives in PA again. And then Senator Devlin Robinson is going to usher the bill through the Senate for us. Once it becomes law, then it'll be mandatory. What the bill is requesting is posters for the state of Pennsylvania, how to spot an overdose, how to administer Narcan, and how to order Narcan for free in the state of Pennsylvania. And the Health and Human Resource Department with the state thought that the posters that we were requesting were so important, even without it being passed officially, they're already available online.
That's amazing. You two are.
I can email it to you.
Yes, I would love that. It's so important for that information to be out there, and again, to change the stigma behind Narcan, especially. I think a lot of people, I explain to people why it's important to have Narcan on you, and that you can't control what another person is or isn't going to do. You can give them support, advice, resources, but for anyone who has suffered with substance abuse disorder, if you know that that's been a history with them, having Narcan can save their life, or even a perfect stranger on the streets. So that's really remarkable. That's amazing. Congratulations.
So that is the harm reduction efforts. And I just read an article where fentanyl overdose are down in 2024 from where they were in 2023. And the article I read attributed that mostly to Narcan, that it's become more widely available. And that's part of the thing we're trying to do too, is just destigmatize people carrying Narcan around.
Much like you carry your car keys or your gum, Narcan should be part of that, because you never know. Just because you don't use drugs or somebody you love doesn't use drugs, you could save a life by helping somebody else.
Driving by and see somebody down. But the legislation, Laura, will mandate that those public posters be displayed in public places like airports, bus stations, things of that nature. And then they, of course, people can voluntarily display them. But that's what we're hopeful that will happen this year, because we didn't have enough time to get it through the Senate last year to pass. So, it starts afresh. But as Sherry mentioned, we're expecting the House to pass it again, probably by the end of the month, and then it'll go to the Senate. And the fact that we've got Senator Devlin Robinson kind of lined up to sponsor, he's a Republican, so he'll be sponsoring that in the Senate. So we're optimistic that legislation will get passed this year, and then it will become something that's mandatory.
That's very exciting. And I send me the posters, because
I did. I emailed it.
Perfect. And the fact that it's going to be in airports and bus stations, that's so huge. My brain was like, billboard, like there's going to be a billboard someday. It's It's really remarkable. You've turned a huge tragedy, not only just on yourselves, but like your hearts and everyone who knew Siena and loved her. You've taken that and you're now taking what a lot of us struggle to do with grief and turned it into, I don't know if triumph. I hope that that's not insulting to you, but a triumph in a way that, you're taking her legacy and you're turning it into triumph and you're making a difference. So you're both just such remarkable human beings. I'm so lucky to know you.
Thank you, Laura. We do appreciate that. And we really appreciate you knowing how hard it is for us to get up and talk and lecture and present and keep doing this work, but we will absolutely keep doing it. I foresee doing this until my last day, quite honestly. Mm-hmm. Tom has some very exciting news for some programs that he's been working on.
Yes, tell us.
Well, it's one of our initiatives. As a board, we meet annually. We have like a planning committee, if you will, to say, all right, what are our goals for this year and what do we want to do? So we had targeted these educational workshops last year, but we really didn't start doing them until the first part of this year, only because it takes time to work its way through the school system to get the superintendent first to sign off, and then it goes to the principal, and then ultimately it goes to the parents, right? They've got to either opt in or opt out their kids. But what we've done, we've already engaged with over 1,100 students already. But we have this educational workshop. It is in collaboration with Allegheny Health Network's Chill Project. And I think you're aware of the Chill Project. I think we shared that with you last year.
Yes.
Or maybe not.
I think just a teeny bit. So.
All right. So they've created this program, and my recollection is they're in 52 schools in Allegheny County to date, but it's a dedicated classroom in these schools, and they're generally under-resourced schools, but it's a safe place. It's what I call a judgment-free safe zone, if you will. There are therapists that work there. They call them educators, but they're trained mental health therapists, and these students can come in. And most of these are high school, but some of the chill rooms are even in middle schools. But the kids can come in and they can talk to the teachers about anything they're struggling with, whether it be anxiety or something that's going on at home. Could be substance use, could be mental health. And so they've got therapists on site to speak with, and then there's coping stations or quiet stations, if you will, in that room. And they only allow I think it's 8 to 10 students at a time that come in. But you've got these coping stations that they can go to and try to try to deal with the anxiety they're feeling or whatever they're struggling with. So we love the idea. We think it's a great thing for a couple of reasons. One, it's something that's available to all the students. There's no cost for it. They don't need to drive anywhere to get there. They don't need their parents to take them to get there. But I think most significantly, Laura, is that it really normalizes asking for help. Mm-hmm. And that's really the key. And that's the message that we've been giving out or disseminating through these what I'll call these educational workshops that I'll share with you in a little bit more detail in a second. But that's the message we're saying, is that, and it's the tagline of our foundation: stop the judgment, start the conversation. I think people are afraid to share what they're feeling, what their struggles are, for fear of being judged or stigmatized. That was our daughter.
Yes.
And as you know, we were guilty of that, and it only pushed her away from us, and it was horrible for us to do that. And that, that really is our message, to not judge and not shame people that are struggling with this. So these chill rooms, I think the fact that they normalize asking for help, and if you think about it with these students, if they kind of grow up and there is this classroom this dedicated classroom, there's no stigma attached to it. You can walk in, they're not hiding anything. It just becomes normal. Like, all right, this is something that is it's just normal to do. It's normal to ask for help. It's normal to talk about your struggles. And so we love the idea of the chill room, and we collaborated with them where we said, look, we'd like to do a workshop where we can talk about our foundation and our daughter and the struggles that she had, and then share with them what our message is about the no judgment and the no judgment or shame. And we also then brought in Dr. Brophy, who, with the Geyser Center.
Yes.
We do our presentation, and that really is the emotional piece that I think grabs folks' attentions, to say, wow, they hear our daughter's story that she died of a fentanyl overdose. And then Dr. Brophy comes in, and for the next 30 or 35 minutes, he talks about the neuroscience behind addiction. So we have found the combination of him and us to be extremely effective. The feedback we've gotten from the students and the teachers have been fantastic. And this is a program we want to grow. Even beyond, we want to grow this to as many schools that we can, not only in Allegheny County, but, we want to go into Butler County and the other surrounding counties and even beyond, because we really do think that this is something, it's in our wheelhouse because we do target, if you look at our website, we target the young adults and the adolescents. So students, in high school, our daughter started, her struggles began when she was in high school. So that's really, our target audience, if you will. And just the feedback that we've gotten, to see these students in some of these schools that we've gone to, you've got 300 or 400 kids that are sitting there for an hour, and they're listening attentively. They're showing empathy afterwards. They're coming up to us and saying they're so sorry for our loss and thanking us for having the courage to present this to them. So it really has been an amazing experience as far as the feedback we've gotten from the students themselves.
It's very rewarding.
Yeah, it is. And I tell the group, I say, look, our daughter, this is something she would want us to do. I am 100% positive that, Siena would say, absolutely, you need to be there giving this message to these kids, because, quite honestly, I wish that Siena had a chill room for her to go to when she was in high school. Don't have a crystal ball, so I don't know if it would have made a difference, but my gosh, just to have that resource would have been something special. So that's where we're at with these educational workshops, and we do hope to expand that. I mean, we're coming up to a close for the 2025 school year. We've got another presentation we're doing at Parkway West in the first part of April. I think we're going to touch about or engage with about 400 additional students there. But then probably our next session, our next workshops probably will not occur until the fall semester. But we also want to expand this beyond the high school. We're going to start to look to colleges and so we can do similar programs to them, because as well, they're young adults. I mean,
yes.
they're at that age where we don't know if our message, who it may resonate with, but they're at that age where they've got a fork in the road, and you just don't know. They may make a decision that they wouldn't have otherwise made by hearing our presentation, and that's what our hope is. And we just have to trust that we will have a positive effect on, even if it's one student. It's worth it.
Absolutely. As we were sitting here and you were talking, at one point I thought, you are doing something for these young people that is creating not only just the conversation and the human connection, but it's allowing them the ability to trust, because that's the hardest thing when you're talking about whether it is substance abuse or mental health or abuse. A lot of times when we're talking about these situations, sometimes it's either a mental health related, right? So it's a chemical thing. It's something that's going on in your body, or it's trauma induced. And for me, I think if I had had something like that when my dad passed away, I think about it often. I'm like, if I had had that in high school, because I had nowhere to go. I didn't want to be in school. I was either in the nurse's office or the guidance counselor's office most days. So it started to affect my grades. Obviously, it affected, my overall well-being. And it's hard because it is that trust. It's like, can I really say this to this person? Are they going to judge me? And you're creating this environment where these kids are, not only are they going to start to open up and they're going to start to heal and become advocates as well, but it is going to start to spread. They're going to tell other kids. They're going to say, no, you have to, if you need help, like go here, go that. So it's absolutely going to grow. Like you said, there is that one kid, but there's going to be so many more kids that are affected by this in a positive way. And I do see it growing. I mean, yeah, bring it to Butler. Let's get it here, because I know for Butler High School, there are kids at Butler High School who are homeless. And in my head, just that alone, just that right there is like, what? That's like, that makes my head sort of like, I don't even want to say explode. It makes it spin in a way where I think like, wow, like imagine all of the other things that they're probably going through because of that one thing. Because they're homeless, their family is homeless. Imagine all of the other obstacles that they have to face on a daily basis because of that one.
Oh yeah, just like finding a place to brush their teeth and wash their clothes,
clean clothes, new clothes.
But can you imagine growing up in a world where it's normalized to have a room in your school that you can go to with resources that could help them with the homelessness, could help them with the situations that they're having at home. If we normalize kids asking for help, they become adults that realize that this is normal to ask for help. And like the American Cancer Society years ago did an ad campaign to normalize people having cancer. Now, when someone has cancer, the hugs, the love, we had an Excel sheet on helping my girlfriend, taking her to chemo and radiation. She had a hair salon, so we were cleaning her hair salon. Like we all had a schedule to help her. We normalize cancer now. And I would love to get to the point in life where we can normalize mental health in the same way.
Yes, 1,000%. And you are. I mean, you are both, you're a catalyst for this. This is literally, you just catapulted something out into the universe and it's happening. And having Dr. Brophy, that's huge. That guy is a wealth of knowledge. Like his brain, I'm like, wow. And he has, literally, he'll talk and and I'm like, what? I'm like, I feel like I need to be taking notes. Like, and sometimes I do, obviously. Very special.
He is very special. We're so honored to be working with him and Geyser.
That's amazing.
It's been a wonderful, and the Allegheny Health Network is sponsoring this, and PNC gifted us $15,000. They granted us $15,000 to do these programs.
That's amazing.
It was the PNC Foundation, right?
Yeah, PNC Foundation.
Wow, that's fantastic. So
so we're hoping to get more from them or any private donors or any of your sponsors out there. If
anyone who's listening, and to get into
about $2,500.
Okay.
To do a program.
Okay,
right, because we also provide. So we provide materials that we give them when they leave. In regards to resources.
Get a swag bag.
Yeah, we have an insert language matters that is the correct way, if you will, to talk about struggles with mental health and substance use. Where you're not using derogatory terms, but we also provide because these are under-resourced schools. We also provide food too. So it would be in the morning. If it was a morning presentation, maybe bagels and donuts. And then we have done Chick-fil-A for like lunch and afternoon sessions. But Sherry said we're at about, with all in, and then Dr. Brophy's fee, it's about $2,500 per workshop is where we're at.
That's fantastic. This is very exciting. It's very exciting.
Yeah, we're encouraged, and as I mentioned, if we do I think once we do Parkway West in April, I think that's our fifth school, and I hope to double that in 2025, 2026. And that's just at the high school. And then if we tap into the college, we've got a couple of our junior board members that are college students themselves, and that's going to be their project. Once they get through this semester, they're going to start to talk to the colleges and line stuff up for next fall with them.
That's fantastic. So and if you said this, and I'm sorry if I missed it, but every month, do you have a different school, or is it just, obviously it's based off the funding that you had, right? Because you mentioned it's $2,500 per program. So, or.
Yeah, it was, I mean, it's turned out that we've done, it really was, it was the logistics of trying to, just getting all the sign-offs and then coordinating our schedule, the school schedule, and Dr. Brophy's schedule. So, we did one, the last one we did was New Kensington. That was 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
The week before that, we were at Clarendon High School. And then we're going to be back to Parkway West April 8th and 9th. And we already did one at them, and it was so well received by the principal and the teachers there that they've invited us back to do it to other grade levels. So It's really just more of a organically, as far as the dates, just trying to coordinate everybody's availability and then locking down a date because the presentation itself, generally, between our presentation, Dr. Brophy's, then we have a brief Q&A from the students afterwards. I think they've slotted us at like an hour and a half to 2 hours for the program.
Okay. Well, it's really commendable of you because I think, obviously young people are the future. And we all know, and Dr. Brophy has probably said this, and this is how I know this, is that your frontal lobe's not fully developed until about the age of 26 or 27. So there's a lot of things that young people struggle with sort of comprehending or processing or working through because of that, just because of how we develop as human beings, as, a species. And so it's really great to give them this resource that is part of that development, at an age where it's so crucial for them to have this, to have something like that. And as you said, Tom, it's, even if it helps one person, that's someone. But what you guys are doing is so outstanding. It's just, I'm always just blown away by the people I've met during this I want to say a little over a year. And the conversations I've had, people who are like boots on the ground, just making it happen, and who have their own struggles everybody has a sad story.
So we are working on an initiative right now to work with the Allegheny Funeral Home Directors Association to encourage people. And again, we're looking for funding for this program. Obituaries are currently costing about $700, which is insane since everything's digital. Mm-hmm. But anyways, if people are willing to write an honest obituary, we are willing to help pay for that. So we're working with a program with the Allegheny Health Funeral Home Directors Association to get the awareness out there, because we can't go up to people and say, hey, we hear your son or daughter is struggling. If and when they pass away, write an honest obituary. That is cruel, 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 and not who we are at all. So we want to let people know through the funeral homes that when you bring your loved one in, and most parents have an inkling of how they may or may not have died. Not always, but, obviously we can tell by suicide, and if your child's struggling with addiction in any way. Anyways, we're trying to be compassionate and reach the families. What people don't realize is you can put a small little obituary in. I'll use Siena as an example. Siena Bott, 21 years old, unexpectedly died. Funeral arrangement information. It's 2025. People are going to gossip. They're going to question, was it suicide? Was it an overdose? Those questions are going to be asked. So why not be honest in your obituary? Because as a family that has experienced writing an honest obituary, I can tell that society and our community were incredibly compassionate towards us, and people have come out of the woodwork telling us their struggles and people that they love that they don't know how to handle or help them in any way. And so because we were honest in our obituary, it has allowed us to do the work that we're doing and allowed our community to help us. And by hiding it with a very, very short obituary, and I know parents that haven't put an obituary out there at all when their kids have passed away. And that is truly an individual choice for people. But I do believe that us writing an honest obituary was so pivotal in us being able to do this work and hold our heads up high.
Yes.
And I encourage every parent that, my God, should you lose a loved one, please call me and we can talk. I don't have any answers. I'm not qualified, but I certainly understand your struggle. But by being honest in the obituary, you really are helping yourself more than you ever will know.
The other thing I'll add to that, Laura, is by not being honest in the obituary, you're just perpetuating that stigma, right? That goes with that. And so yeah, we're hopeful that this program will incentivize families who do lose a loved one, to an overdose or to a suicide, that they'll consider taking advantage of this program.
Yes. It's the lived experience is so important, and that's what you both have experienced, is you have a lived experience with this, and it does something with your grief. Something that you mentioned, Sherry, when you were both on the podcast originally, was that it helped you when it came to the funeral and all of those events afterwards, after her passing, where you didn't have to have those awkward conversations. You didn't have people coming up to you and guessing or wondering or feeling that nervousness around, is someone going to ask me what happened? And not even ripping a Band-Aid off. I mean, I want people to listen to the episode to understand the story here, because it's told. Sherry and Tom share it in the episode, but I don't know. It was just such a wow, the strength that you had to dig in for, right? You dug in so deep to be able to have the strength to be like, this has to happen. Maybe it was like an intuition, perhaps it was just this moment of, this is the right thing to do, but it's just really powerful.
It was a lot of emotions behind writing that honest obituary for Siena. Honestly, I was pissed and angry, and there were so many emotions. Your podcast isn't long enough for the list, but I was just so exhausted and tired of living in a silo. Loving someone with substance use and mental health is exhausting and just absolutely depleting. And we had a 4-hour ride home knowing that our daughter had died in our basement, and we were coming home to a broken front door. I watched Siena being wheeled out of our house on a stretcher. And when I wrote that obituary, I had just had enough. I was like, no more. I've lived in a silo with the mental health and substance use. I am not doing it anymore. And I told Tommy, we're going to be honest. And that's why I'm so passionate about the honest obituary, because I know it helps families long after their loved one is gone.
Yes, it absolutely does. So I just want to thank you both for your time and for everything that you're doing, on top of also just, I love all the posts that you share on your travels, and you still have
thank you.
You both are smiling, and I'm just really honored, and thank you again. And let's, obviously we'll stay in touch, because that's what we do. And thank you.
Well,
I can't thank you enough.
We are honored to have you as an advocate and now as a friend. So the honor is truly all ours.
Well, thank you. Thank you for tuning in to Alter Eagle. Join me every Monday for a new episode, and be sure to click subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Follow us on Instagram at Alter Eagle Podcast. Until next time, stay safe, stay hopeful, stay kind.